Hello, I'm Judy Stiles. Thank you for joining us this week on Newsmakers. Well, the city of Joplin has the distinction of an elected official representing a national organization, the National League of Cities. And joining me today, Melodee Colbert-Kean, who's the president of the National League of Cities. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And congratulations on your position. You've actually been sworn in now, and it's official.
It's official. I'm in there now.
Well, I guess for our viewers, we probably should start off with a definition when we say the National League of Cities. How do you define that for someone when they come up and say, well, you're the president of what?
Of what? Yeah, exactly. How I like to define it is more of we're a community of local elected officials and state league reps, and we're championing cities' causes and concerns and issues to the national level, to our federal representatives.
So you have literally thousands of cities represented?
We have over 19,000 cities represented, and that's large cities, small town, and villages.
So you then help work together to communicate with other levels of government, like the federal government, and communications being a key part of what you're doing.
And that you stress that because it is very important on building partnerships, and we can't do that without connecting these officials with these representatives. And so it's very important for that. Yes.
So in your role as president, I know you've been involved with the organization prior to becoming president, kind of moved up to it. But someone might say, well, what does the president do for the National League of Cities?
All the grunt work. You're kind of the face for National League of Cities, which is the face for all of your 19,000 membership cities. And so you do a lot of talking at different engagements. You actually can testify on the Hill at times when it's needed. You visit your congressmen and your representatives on the federal level and let them know that, hey, we want to partner with you guys to make sure that these cities keep growing.
A lot of people may not realize that the real partnership you have between, say, the federal government and cities, you know, we think about maybe disaster recovery, and we hear about FEMA coming in with grants and so forth, but there's a lot of ties between different levels of government. Yes,
and that's very important to probably reiterate or stress, because it's not just when we are in situations such as those, when we have disasters or something like that. It's important to build those connections and keep engaged with each other throughout, throughout the year, not just at times of crisis like that.
Right. Well, let's backtrack a little bit as far as your initial involvement or interest in the National League of Cities. What got you interested in the organization in the first place?
Well, when I got elected in 2006, 2006, seems like a lifetime ago. When I got elected, I went to one of the conferences that November, and I heard about some of the things they were doing and seeing some of the boards and different things, and said, they're doing some pretty good things. I'd like to probably try to be a part of that. And so just through connections of the people who were there, you just start talking and find out, and they hook you into the pipeline, I guess you can say, of a committee, and that's where you start. And that's how I started.
So elected officials like yourself, whether it's city council or aldermen, different around the country, they can all go to these national meetings and get involved.
Absolutely, and it's actually encouraged, and I've seen it as the city of Joplin has been a member of National League of Cities for a lot of years, and why not capitalize on our investment? And it's a learning opportunity, and it also increases your leadership skills. And when you're serving citizens and serving your public, you need all the help you can get.
People are looking for you to get involved and so forth. I know in looking at your background, I mentioned that you've been involved with the different committees and natural resources. I saw urban development. So there's a lot of areas of interest within the overall organization. You can say, I want to find out about that.
Yes, it kind of all of the different departments of it. Is for things that are going on in the cities now, like in the human resources and economic development. That's a constant mainstay for cities. We're always trying to grow our cities through the job opportunities, but also through air quality, different things like that. Sewer, it's like stuff people don't want to talk about.
But the cities have to handle it.
But the cities have to handle it, and so the National League of Cities meets those needs for people.
Do you find a lot of networking then when you go to those meetings and you meet someone from another community and I'm not the only one who has to deal with this?
Yes. The networking is priceless, because where else can you go to engage with citizens, with local elected officials who are in the same boat as you and serving their citizens, and find out what they've done, what may work for your city, and you can share what your city has done and what may work for theirs. And sharing that, that information is you can't buy that information.
Right.
You know, it's priceless.
So you've been able to attend the conventions, the meetings, and come back and say, I heard about this being done somewhere else. Why don't we think about it?
Absolutely, and actually an example of that would be the Tiger Grant we received for the work that's being done on the 20th Street overpass now.
Right.
A lot of direct information from myself engaging with the then Secretary of Transportation, Ray LaHood, directly engaging and finding out, different things to that we needed to stress when we sent in our application.
So you don't have to really go on it on your own. You have support to help find out.
There
those
is support, yes,
Right.
and you should tap into that support.
Right. Well, you recently attended one of those national conventions. So in addition to being officially sworn in, describe what maybe a convention would be like, the different types of things that happen while people are going there.
Well, like I said, we have two different main conferences each year.
Right.
One's in March, and that's in DC. We have that in DC where we go up to the Hill and meet with our representatives, and also bring in speakers that will help cities meet the challenges that they're facing. They can, some of them are past mayors, some of them are past state representatives. We've had the president, we've had the vice president, and so we've also had different people of the administration, small business administration come. And so when they're there at those conferences, that's the opportunity for those officials to engage then and say, hey, okay, that may be something we can take back and use that. But the one we just had, and it's when I got sworn in as president, and I'm very excited for that. But that one happens in November, and that one's more of an exhibitor. We have different companies that come and exhibit the services that they have for cities.
And when you say services, people say, what do cities have to buy? What are they looking at?
And yes,
a trade show for cities?
Yes, well, and that's really, I mean, you have water people that, you have actually what Joplin is a member of with the National League of Cities, but it's a prescription discount card. That program, there's a utility service program where you can save on your, if something should happen to your water line from your house to the main connection, you can sign up for, I think it's a couple dollars a month, $5 or $6 a month, and it will cover that with local contractors, not fishing out somewhere, local, right here helping our city.
So you're able to gather that information at a meeting like that and bring it back to town?
Yes, yes. I bring back a lot of information to share with our city manager and the city clerks. There's stuff on file retention and that kind of thing, so yes.
Now, the prescription drug program that you mentioned, some people may not be too familiar with that. Can you tell me a little bit about what that involves for the city?
What it is, and that's through the National League of Cities, but it's the city, we sign up at no cost to the city. This is just strictly offered through National League of Cities. And so we sign up, which we are signed up, and we have the little cards, and they're placed at like the library, they're placed at the health department, and people can just, okay, yeah, I want to do that. They take that card. When they're getting their prescription renewed or filled, they give them that card and they automatically get a discount on that.
So
and it's no cost to them.
So it's not like signing up for insurance
no,
or anything.
It's no health insurance or anything like that. It's just a discount card.
And tying that together. So those types of things are things that you're able to bring back to help the citizens of
the
community.
And that's what it's about, is helping our citizens to grow our city. Whether I'm in this position or someone else is in this position, it's about helping the city that you're in and helping the rest of the cities. And that's the basis of it, really.
So in your role as president right now, what are some of the, I guess, key challenges facing cities? Are there any unified kind of challenges that cities across the country are facing that you see and you hear from others?
Yes. A key one would be the economic development. That's a constant in cities. All cities are always looking for ways to bring in new development, bring in new, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's high-tech jobs. We're always looking on how we can market our cities better to bring in these economic development opportunities. And also infrastructure. That's your roads, that's your bridges, that's your sewer lines.
Sewers you're talking about, right.
I keep stressing sewers, don't I? But it's vitally important that those channels are open for that information and for us to continue addressing that with Congress, because this is what keeps cities growing. This is what we need to be able to grow. And so we just try to make sure that that stays at the forefront and that funding for those kind of things doesn't get cut.
And when you talk about infrastructure, like say, people don't think about that sewer line under the road or things like that, but if you have a community that has crumbling sewer lines or problems with the streets, they're probably on the lower list of choices for new companies to want to come to move to town.
Absolutely.
It kind of ties things together.
Yes, it does. That's a good way to put it. It ties it together, yes. Because you have to have those, and companies look for that. They're like, well, how's the infrastructure? And, you know, so it behooves us to have that in place.
So working as president this year, you will be communicating with the other cities.
Yes.
You also have a staff, I guess, supporting. You have vice presidents and everyone helping you do this. So it's not all on your shoulders. You get to share, you know, the responsibilities.
Correct. And I'm not above delegating. I'm you know, that's a good thing too. I am the right now face of the National League of Cities, and that's perfectly fine, and I always let them know that my home city comes first, and so any of my duties and obligations and serving is for here is always first. But there are opportunities for me to go and speak to different hearings, or just to be a different appearance for something on behalf of all the cities, of all of the USA cities.
You're kind of the official spokesperson for cities in
I
Missouri.
guess that's a good way to say it. And what better thing than have Missouri in the spotlight right now?
People might be curious, has anyone else from Missouri ever been president before?
Not in over 50 years. Wow. Yeah, so it was kind of like, whoo, okay, we can check mark that now.
Claim to fame not only for Missouri but for Joplin as well.
Yes, yeah, put us in the national spotlight.
Well, you were involved with the National League, with the different committees and organizations. What made you say, I want to be president? I want, you know, that sounds like a nice challenge to take on. That sounds a big challenge.
And I'm probably still asking myself that question. What was I thinking? Yeah, I think it was once I got elected to the board, because that's really how you start, well, the committees, and then you get on the board. Okay. And once I got elected to the board, the opportunities were presented, I guess you could say, and it was kind of like I can give this a try. Okay. And that really was what it was like. And it was, man, that's a chance to learn even more and to bring back even more to Joplin. And so, and like I said before, to increase your leadership skills. Because when you're a public servant, and that is, even as the National League of Cities president, you're still a public servant, you know. Any chance that you get to increase your learning, or to get more information on how you can do a better job, I think anybody should go for that, if the opportunity presents itself to them.
Now, you mentioned being on the city council since 2006, so 9 years or so serving the city.
Yes.
Have you seen any changes as far as cities and their approaches that maybe weren't around back, 9 years ago? Approaches to business, maybe, or how you're approaching those types of things.
I think it's a lot more. It's leaning more towards small business friendly. Some of the avenues for businesses to start in Joplin, to get their start in Joplin, I think we have, I won't say relaxed, but we've made the ease of entry a little bit better, and more streamlined for businesses. So that focus would be one. Also, just of course the community spirit. It's still at a high, and I think we're going to ride that for a while, which is a good thing. You hate that it takes something tragic to bring that oneness together, but man, now that we have it, let's see how far we can go with it.
Of course, you're representing Joplin when you are going to these meetings.
Absolutely.
Do you have many people come up to you and ask, how's Joplin doing? Tell me about Joplin.
The number one question I always get, the number one, how's the rebuilding going? How are you guys recovering? And I'm always proud to say we are on a fantastic pace. Things are going well. We still have a lot of challenges, that we run into every so often, but the people, our citizens, have a mind to push forward, and that's what makes all the difference. It's not about any one person doing something. It's about everybody coming together, and I stress that with when I'm saying, how far we've come. And they're just like, wow. They just kind of look at you like, whoa, because I'm determined to say we're not just going to be known for that tornado anymore. We're going to be known for the things we're doing now, and the response that we've had from that tornado.
So that carries through to the people you're talking to on the national level.
Correct. And they see that. And that's one of the main things I want to make sure they see is the progress we're making and the attitude of our citizens and our city staff, and to push forward and say, we're going to be known for after tornado now. We're not going to be oh man, Joplin. We're not going to be that. We're not going to be that.
So the changes that have come about because of it and the
Correct.
benefits throughout the area. Well, I know that you have, as I said, been in the city council since 2006. You've served as a leader, as the mayor, mayor pro tem. The role of a public servant, as you said, elected official. A lot of people don't realize that it's more than just showing up for a meeting every couple of weeks. The time demands.
Absolutely. If anyone thinks they're just going to go to a meeting, if they decide to run for council, if anybody thinks they're just going to go to a meeting and they're done, they might want to look a little bit more. Come talk to me. Because yes, it takes a whole lot more. You have a lot of due diligence to perform. You have to look at your packets you get. You have to go and drive by places and see what exactly is going to be discussed. And there's a lot of people bending your ear, your left and your right ear, because they want to see this and somebody else wants to see that. And you can't please everybody, but man, you do the best you can with the facts that you have, and you go from there.
Right. So your initial involvement of saying, I want to take that step to be working with the city. I mean, I'm going to go back a little further.
Yes.
What brought you to saying, I want to get involved with, city government, running as a council person? And
believe me, it was never one of those when you're about this high and people ask, well, what do you want to be? Well, I want to be mayor. Not once did that ever enter my city council. Not once did that ever enter my mind. It was more of, in 2005, there were, I believe, 5 seats coming open. I believe there was a gentleman who had passed, and then the regular re-elections coming open. And actually seen that as a chance to be a representative of the black population, actually, because there wasn't a representation there except for Mr. Jim West, who had been on there, and he wasn't on at that time. And so we had a group meeting, and we were waiting to see who was going to raise their hand and say they were going to do it. And after about 5 or 8 minutes, I didn't see any hands going up. So I said, okay, I'll do it. And that's literally how I became. So I didn't come into council with agendas. I didn't come with a platform. I came saying, okay, this is going to be a learning experience, but I'm up for the task. And I'm so glad that I have, that I did take that step. And I'm very thankful for the opportunity.
Well, I know that this is the time of year when people are thinking about whether they're going to run in the spring and so forth. What sort of words of encouragement would you give to somebody else who may be in the back of their mind, well, maybe I might want to do that, I mean, what do you say to somebody who's kind of teeter-tottering, do I want to run for council?
Yes, and I'm actually one of those coming up for election in April. Yeah, but the one thing that I would tell people is like, well, after first praying about it, because you have to have your family buy in, you have to have that support, you have to, your job, whatever, you have to have that support and buy-in. But I would tell them to really think and say, really look inside and say, am I doing this for a specific outcome? Am I looking for a platform? Or am I doing this to truly give back to my community?
So that giving back and helping the community being the key point.
Absolutely.
And that together.
Yes.
And community pride, obviously your Joplin area of community pride and seeing your city grow and change over the years and knowing that you are a part of that growth and development of the city.
I know, and that really just kind of makes me like, oh, because it really is. It's a chance. Not many people get that chance, whether they're running or whatever it is they decide to do, but to make an impact in however small bit that you can. And mine is being in service to the people. I feel that it's being in service to the people. I'm a people person. I'm an everyday person, and there's nothing special, that I've done or that anyone else couldn't do.
So that can perhaps inspire those other people who say,
absolutely.
What makes me any different?
Absolutely. You don't have to have any extra titles. Just be you, and if you want to give, then that's what you do.
Now, community involvement in Joplin, I know that we hear city council meetings, they'll say we have boards and commissions with openings and so forth. What do you say to somebody, maybe they're not ready to run for an office and do something, but there's other ways they can serve their community?
Absolutely. We do have boards and commissions, and I think we'll be appointing some tonight at our meeting. But that is one way you can give back to serve your community. There's also, I believe, police, fire, and pension board. There are all kinds of boards and commissions. There's different volunteer with the parks, changing out flowers, helping keep the trails clean. There's all kind of opportunities for people if they want to get involved.
And you mentioned volunteering. Volunteering been an important part of looking at your life and the fact that
yes,
we're doing things and helping our community, not necessarily getting paid for it, but volunteering.
Yes, ma'am. And that, going back to that one question, that's one thing I would stress to the people who are looking to run. Do you really want to volunteer? Because that's what you're doing.
It's a volunteer job.
It's a volunteer job. You know that it's not about the pay. It's about you giving of yourself to help for the greater good of your city. So, and many other opportunities I do. I love helping with Habitat for Humanity and different organizations like that. And it just makes you feel good. It does, to give back.
And ultimately, you're helping someone or people. Some people are benefiting from what you're doing.
That's the end result, because you can see a smile on somebody's face, or you see a tear trickle down, whatever it may be, you see that. And you don't have to get a thank you. You don't have to have that, because you have it internally. And I love that. Yeah, I've never given more than what is given to me when I volunteer, the get back that I get, that I receive.
Right. A lot of people don't perhaps realize that, the benefits of, the personal benefits of helping others.
And it's true.
So when you're visiting now on the national level with people from other cities, do you find that this type of feeling is a common theme oftentimes in city leaders? And you look around the country that a lot of people have this type of passion for, helping others, making things better?
I truly do. The majority really, really do, because you can't give of yourself and your family and your time and all of your efforts that much without having a passion or without wanting to give back to your city or to whatever it is you're doing, the cause you're doing, because it takes so much. It takes so much of your time. It takes so much of your energy, and it takes it, and sometimes your money, So you have to have at least a real intense desire to give back like that.
So they can overcome some of those challenges to reach those goals.
Yes, and a lot of people see that. They truly want what's best for their communities and for the people they're serving. They truly want to grow their cities. They truly want to prosper the people, and that's what it's about. It's connecting, making those partnerships, and then watching your city grow and prosper.
So with the organizations, whether it's the National League of Cities, or I understand there's also a Missouri Municipal League, are there programs to help mentor or work with up-and-coming representatives?
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is one thing I actually got from our last, I've actually got it from 2 conferences ago, but I'm going to be meeting with the city manager, and hopefully we can implement a youth council and take them to our conferences, to the National League of Cities conferences or the Missouri Municipal League conferences. Because if we don't get them engaged now, we'll probably lose them.
The next generation needs to start learning about leading.
You don't want them to be just completely jaded about, government and local government or government in general. You want them to get in there and see hands-on and witness and say, oh man, that's what that's about. And so they can, and help develop that if they want to do it.
So is that perhaps a challenge sometimes with, I don't say necessarily the younger generation, just some people, they see the headlines about problems in Washington and they say, oh, there's nothing but politics is bad, I don't want to get involved, but to try to show them that there can be positive aspects of being involved in that.
And there can be. It's like with anything else, you're going to have the good and you're going to have the bad. But your challenge is, what can you do in that in-between that's positive? And that's what, to me, is what it's about. I mean, I'm probably Pollyanna positive to an ad nauseum, but it's like, to me, that's what it's about, is what can you do in that gap to bring all of that together? And you're going to always have the bad, you're going to always have the good, but your challenge is to see the good in everything. There's a positive point in everything. You just have to search for it sometimes.
So is that an attitude that you're able to take then as president when you're visiting with federal officials perhaps, or as you're representing the National League of Cities?
And you need that, It is, and like I said, people probably like, she can't be serious. But I am, it's like, I really am, this is just me. But you do need that, because you can't come in with negativity of, You know, people are frustrated with Congress, they're frustrated with the administration, they're frustrated with, you can't go in with that attitude of feeding that. You need to go into that with the attitude of, what can we do to work together to make this work for the cities? Because 80% of your population is in cities. And so,
nationwide,
absolutely. And so you have to figure out, we have to figure out a way to connect, to engage, and to partner and say, okay, we give and take. And that's what it's about, in my eyes anyway.
And of course, we have cities of all sizes in the National League of Cities. You have Joplin, you have smaller, you have New York City. So.
And that it is a mixture. It's anywhere from the, like you just said, the New York cities all the way down to the, wow, I had that name too because I just had a feeling that was going to be. Yes, and it's only like 5 people.
Wow.
So
yes, they still belong to.
But they still belong to National League of Cities. Yes.
So they're able to get those benefits. So
yes.
And representing their causes by going to these conferences.
Yes. So. And sometimes people can't be there, so they'll send like their neighboring city. And that's a thing to mention also, because it's not about just one city. It's about regionalism.
Right.
When you strengthen your city, you're strengthening the region. And we need to make sure we grasp hold of that, because it's like, okay, most people get focused on just my city, my city. Well, yeah, you're proud of your city and you want your city to do good. But if your city is doing good, the region around it is going to do good also.
And we've heard that a lot over the years in Joplin. I know back when you were mayor, we talked about regionalism and economic development, that it doesn't stop at the city limits. You have to visit with your neighbors. You need to bring people together and talk.
It's still true today. More so.
More so. So looking forward to the year ahead, what would be your goals? What would you like to accomplish as president?
Oh, man. When you mention that, it's about youth mentorship,
right?
Because that is just crucial. We have so many youth today that are looking for things to do, looking for positive avenues to go into. And so I think the more we can provide for those youth to get into and to engage them in some type of positive activity like that, I think the better it'll be for the future leaders. But so that's one thing I want to stress on that. And also trying to get, I don't know, I know the buzzword is recidivism. Yeah, forgive my pronunciation. But it's for when the people who get out of prison and opening up a pipeline for them to be able to become productive members of society again.
Get back into society.
Absolutely, and not be stigmatized. And because if you've served your sentence, then you shouldn't be penalized again when you get out. You should be able to get in and get back into society and be productive in society. Right. So those are just a few things.
Right. Well, I look forward to following this year, and as you continue to work with the National League of Cities and keep us informed in Joplin.
Absolutely.
What's happening.
Try to do a blog or something.
All right. Well, thank you very much for visiting with us on the program and sharing with the audience.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm Judy Stiles. I'd like to thank you for joining us this week on Newsmakers. Hope you can join me again next week at the same time on this station. We'll see you then.